What's up, guys? Welcome to my first build video of 2018, and it is a good one. Let's just start off with some of the goals for this build. So my main goal for this build was to build a gaming PC slash workstation that you could take on the go for a pretty affordable price. And the case I chose was the SilverStone ML08B-H. And for this build, I also wanted it to be an AMD Ryzen build, so you can get higher core counts for a cheaper price. And the CPU I chose was the AMD Ryzen 5 1600, which I just set to the overclocks so it's equal to the 1600X. The motherboard, I got a Gigabyte Gaming Wi-Fi AB350H, and I would recommend getting the gaming Wi-Fi for that because you really don't have like any room to add like a Wi-Fi card, so all you could possibly do is just use a little Wi-Fi dongle. But I would just recommend just getting it just right on the motherboard. It fills an M.2 slot. Just works really well. The graphics card I chose was an RX 484 gigabyte, which I just had laying on hand. But the graphics card that I would recommend for this build is the GTX 1060, like 3 or the 6 gig, and you can get them for pretty much the same price range. And the RX 480s aren't really available because of cryptocurrency. There's not a lot on the market, so I'll just go with that GTX 1060. For memory, got the SanDisk X400 256 gigabyte, which is pretty good. Power supply, I went with a Corsair small form factor 450 watt, which can power all the components very well. Not a lot of power draw. For the CPU cooler, I went with the CryoRig C7, which I had to order the AM4 kit afterwards. I'm going to get to that later. And for RAM, I went with the G.SKILL Ripjaws 5 16 gigabyte. The ones I have here were only clocked at 2400 megahertz, which normally with Ryzen builds you want to go with a higher clock speed because it really works well with the Infinity Fabric. Please enjoy the build time lapse. I had one major hiccup with this build. So because there was a wait time for the AM4 upgrade kit for the C7 cooler, I ended up just installing the Wraith cooler, as you could see in the time lapse, for a couple of weeks and left the side of the case open for the couple of weeks, where I was gaming on it and just doing stuff with the computer. And then when the AM4 kit came and it was time to remove the Wraith cooler, it was stuck to the CPU. So the thermal paste had hardened and created a suction onto the CPU. So when I went to remove the Wraith cooler, it actually ended up yanking the Ryzen 5 CPU right out of the socket and was stuck to the CPU. And that wasn't even the worst thing that happened. Then I attempted to pop the Ryzen 5 CPU off the Wraith cooler, and then it literally flung off of it and hit the ground, bending a couple pins. Luckily, I was able to bend those pins back with a pocket knife, thankfully. But I guess the moral to the story is just wait for the better CPU cooler. Thank you guys for sticking with me through the whole video. All the components have Amazon links down in the description, so you can give those a click if you wanted to purchase anything that was used in this build. I'll also include a link for the GTX 1060, which I recommend over the RX 480 by a landslide. Thank you guys, and have a good one.